The Ten Commandments of Detective Fiction were created in 1929 by Catholic priest and crime writer Ronald Knox. Their purpose was to help writers create what are called fair play mysteries. In other words, mysteries in which you as the reader are given enough information over the course of the book to be able to solve the mystery before the detective gives the final reveal at the end. While Captain Barbossa might call these more guidelines than actual rules, they're still really fun to go through, especially now almost a century later, and see which ones still apply to books being published today or which ones feel a little bit superfluous. The first commandment is, the criminal must be mentioned in the early part of the story, but must not be anyone whose thoughts the reader has been allowed to know. Pretty self-explanatory. You don't really want to introduce a criminal too late in the story. Doesn't give your reader a fair chance to suss them out. And unless you're writing an unreliable narrator, which itself is not really fair play, don't want to put their thoughts in the book. Number 2, all supernatural or preternatural agencies are ruled out as a matter of course. No ghost stories. This becomes especially helpful if you're writing something like a locked room or impossible crime mystery. Sometimes paranormal themes are played with in those mysteries as if only a ghost could have committed the crime, but you should know as a reader that that's not going to be the explanation at the end. Rule 3 is a personal favorite. No more than one secret room or passage is allowable. I guess the Clue board game is disqualified. Number 4, no hitherto undiscovered poisons may be used, nor any appliance which will need a long scientific explanation at the end. You want to give your reader a fair shot, and it's not really a fair shot if they don't know that a poison exists, or if they have to understand a very complicated mechanism in order to make sense of the crime. Number 5, I'm going to reword a little bit. No suspicious foreigner must figure in the story. The original rule uses an outdated racial term, and while that didn't age well, Knox's overall criticism of lazy writing that relies on racial stereotypes to advance the story was actually relatively progressive for the era. Number 6, no accident must ever help the detective, nor must he ever have an unaccountable intuition which proves to be right. No accidental solving of the case. Number 7, the detective himself must not commit the crime. I can think of one book off the top of my head that very famously breaks this rule. It's possible that you will come across this as a twist, especially in a lot of more contemporary mysteries and thrillers, going back to the unreliable narrator trope that remains popular today. Number 8, the detective is bound to declare any clues which he may discover. Self-explanatory. If you find a clue, you tell us the clue. Number 9, the sidekick of the detective, the Watson, must not conceal from the reader any thoughts which pass through his mind. His intelligence must be slightly, but very slightly, below that of the average reader. I see this a lot where you have Sherlock 2 steps ahead of the reader and Watson 2 steps behind. That dynamic remains really popular, and it's actually a really good way to put your reader in the middle of the story without making them feel too smart or too stupid. And lastly, the 10th commandment, twin brothers and doubles generally must not appear unless we have been duly prepared for them. Again, these are just guidelines for a really specific type of mystery. God knows there's plenty of books out there that break them and still remain highly enjoyable for readers of all eras and ages, but they're still really fun to keep in mind. I hope you learned something. Go forth and solve the case.